this has undoubtedly been the most controversial and most anticipated BMW since announcements that the BMW F80 M3 was going to be replaced.
And this is it, the G80 M3. I am so excited to finally be able to see it in the flesh and to be able to take it for an extended test drive this weekend. Now let's start with the front of the car, and we have the big controversial grille. Now the photos that you've seen of the car don't do it justice. You really have to see it in the flesh, and I've spent a little bit of time with the car and it really has grown on me. Now there's a reason why these kidneys are so big, because this car is pushing what the competition is doing, 510 horsepower, so it needs to get a lot of air to cool that engine. Now, this does look different to the 4 Series, doesn't have chrome around the outside, and we've got 2 individual kidneys where the 4 Series is combined, and the logo here is in black, and you only get it in black if you get the M3 Competition. If it's not the Competition, then it's in chrome. Now, we have other areas where we're getting air into the engine. Down here, this intake is split into 2. One half of it drives air into the engine, the other half drives air to cool the brakes. So it may not be so relevant for day-to-day driving, but this car is designed to be used as a daily car and to be taken on track. So on track use, you can imagine that's going to really be a big benefit. Now we've got one last intake here on the side. This actually has an aerodynamic feature to wrap the air around the outside of the car, and it actually adds a little bit of downforce. Now if we move up to the top of the bonnet, we can see here we've got some indentations. I'd love to say they have a functional purpose, but they're not. All it is to create a bit more aggressiveness to the look of the front of the car, and they do that. But yeah, it'd be nice if, you know, there was a little vent in there that lets some air in or out. But regardless, I think it does certainly make a big difference and makes the whole front of the car look really aggressive.
Moving to the side of the car, we can see the 825 M styled wheels, which have a very pronounced concave stance, making them really stand out. The rear lights are not the same as on the M4 and don't have the heartbeat flick in them, and I personally prefer this shape. We still get quad exhausts as standard, and each pipe is now 100mm in diameter.
Now we're inside, and this is the new interior. Now we've seen it in some of the other G series. This one in particular has the 2-tone Silverstone interior, and we also get with this one the standard M Sport seats. Now these ones have come with the optional ventilation. Now if you do go for the carbon bucket seats, they're about a $7,000 optional extra, but if you go for those, you don't get the vented seats. Now if you do opt for the heated seats option though, you can get it not only in the front but also in the back. Now this car has come with the carbon fibre interior trim package. There is a long list of other trims that you can pick from. Now, looking at the steering wheel, you'll notice that there is a big difference between the F80 M3 steering wheel and this one, and one of those is the location of the M1 and M2 buttons. They used to be on the left-hand side. Now they're above the steering wheel, so you can operate one of the buttons with each hand. Obviously, you can program these to exactly how you want the car to perform. Now, the other thing that I wanted to point out is that these shift paddles have also changed. They're a lot longer, they're carbon fiber, but they've got a nice pattern finish on the back, so you can really feel the texture when you're reaching out to grab them. And they've also got a bit of a hook at the top and the bottom. Now, I've found myself grabbing these pedals and resting my finger below, so I can imagine that anyone who's taking this car on the track will really appreciate that these are much easier to grab than they were before. Now, if you ever forget that you're an M3 Competition, you can look down, because besides the fact that you've got M logos everywhere, you've got a big one down here that tells you you're in an M3 Competition. We are here at Yarra Boulevard. Now luckily, we're not too far from home, but there'll be no speeding today because police love this area. Not suggesting we would do any speeding anyway. Without a doubt, it's very different to drive this than the last M3. This is really comfortable, it genuinely is. And I can tell that BMW have really done that with the mind of trying to break into the AMG market, because the Mercedes AMGs are more focused on luxury than on track focused, which the M3s have been in the past. So this has really started to meld the two of them together, and it does it really well, because this feels like a car that I can drive any day of the week. Oh look, that's the cop camera. They're watching everything that we do. Make sure we don't go over the speed limit. Now this is heavier than the previous F80 M3, but you don't really notice it as much. The car has fantastic handling from what we've at least observed in this initial drive with the car. So I suspect that will really come through more when this car gets tested out on the track. But like I said, you don't really notice that extra weight that you get in this car. But honestly, when you're driving around up here through the corners, even when you put your foot down, which we're not going to do, it handles it beautifully. It really does. In the F80, I think the ride was a bit firmer than this. You could feel a bit more of the potholes and every rock on the road, you could feel it a bit more. But if you're daily driving it in comfort, I think you'll be very happy. So I really want to say a big thank you to Melbourne BMW in South Bank and Christian for organising this, because we've really enjoyed taking the car out, and it's given us a really good initial impression of what this car is like.
But is it enough to make you want to buy the car or trade in your current M3? Well, it's probably too early to tell, but with the upgraded technology and comfort, this is certainly going to be better for someone who wants to drive the car every day.
But again, to really appreciate it, you need to drive the car for yourself, because this car is so much more than the grille. It really is. And like I mentioned earlier, once you see it and spend a bit of time with the car, it does grow on you to the point where I actually really like the whole design of the car. And the fact that this one comes with the Silverstone interior, with the black sapphire metallic paint, like, this is my spec. This is the one that I would buy, hands down.
So there you have it, our initial impressions on the new BMW M3. We intend to make some more videos on the car. Hopefully we can show you what it's like to take on the track as well. But before we go, I need to say a big thank you to Muzzy and Simon for spending their whole Sunday shooting this video. So keep an eye on the channel, follow us on YouTube, Facebook and Instagram, as we'll have some more videos coming soon.
I've been following the news about this car for forever, since the new, stuffed it. So here it is, the G80 M3. This one comes in, no, I didn't say this one. So I am a big fan of the M3s, so really excited. I said excited twice. And if you ever forget that you're in an M3 competition, you've got the label here that'll, you can't forget it.